A warm welcome to Business Daily right here on Trust TV. I am Yusuf Akogu. A lot of development in the economy on a daily basis. Of course, on Business Daily, we bring you up to speed with all the development. Of course, if you are the Central Bank of Nigeria Monetary Policy Committee will begin their 2 days meeting today, and the meeting will end tomorrow to determine whether or not to increase the MPR, that is the monetary policy rate, or to reduce it. Of course, many analysts have predicted that the MPC may increase the rate because of the inflation numbers that was released about a week ago by the National Bureau of Statistics, which of course has pushed Nigeria inflation numbers to 22.22%. That's about 17-year high high. As the case may be. The last time we had the inflation, that number was 2005. That is about 17 years ago. So we will keep you update here right on Business Daily to let you know about the decision of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria. I welcome you again to Business Daily as we take our top stories. Take a look. Interesting development there in the world of business. Of course, if you want to know more of the details, you can pick up the Daily Trust of today. Of course, most of those stories are actually on the Daily Trust of today, Tuesday, 23rd of May. Quickly, we go to the stock market to see how the market did yesterday, Monday, 22nd of May. Of course, the market closed positive there, 0.36%. Interesting development we've been witnessing in the market. It seems that the incoming administration, there's a whole lot of confidence in them. So we are seeing that reaction from investors. The all-share index there maintaining that position there, 52,000 basis points, way above it. And of course, the market cap also added about 100 billion yesterday to maintain that position there, 28.5 trillion naira. And of course, the volume of shares exchange hands among investors there, 315.690. A low trade, you will say, compared from what we saw on Friday. And of course, the value there, 4.033 billion. Of course, in the deals worth 5,846 what exchange hands among investors on Monday. And of course, look at the gainers briefly. We discovered that quite a few gainers, not some of the high cap stocks that one will actually expect to be on the gainers chart. We have Ikeja Hotel there in the hospitality sector, doing greatly there, 9.85%. And of course, if you look at it, academic press from the printing press sector gaining 1 naira 68 kobo there to close positive 9.8 0.80%. And of course, Prestige Assurance PLC also gaining 45 kobo there to close in the positive zone at 9.76%. And of course, quickly we'll look at the bottom losers. We have the NCR, of course, National Cash Registrar, losing 2 naira 79 kobo to close negative there, 9.71%. Sovereign Insurance down there 8.87%. The company itself lost 41 kobo there to close in the negative territory. And of course, NIMET also down 1 naira 39 kobo there to close negative downward there, 7.33%. A quick look at the top trade sectors dominated by banking sectors is not new. We've been witnessing that for a couple of weeks now. The banking sector are actually, dominating the market counters in terms of volume of shares. We have the Zenith Bank, Access Bank, and of course United Bank for Africa, all doing 53.4 million shares, 48 million shares, and of course 31.1 million shares respectively among all the top 3 traded stocks on Monday. Of course, the African market, the market across Africa also are all in red today. Of course, JSE in South Africa, that is Johannesburg Stock Exchange, closing negative there, 0.51%. Of course, the NSE in Nairobi, Kenya, also closing negative 0.77%. And of course, GSE, our next neighbor here in Ghana, in West Africa, Ghana, closing also negative there, 0.46%. It seems that only Nigerian market is actually enjoying some investors' patronage. We will find out from my guest now. Charles Fakroga is a stockbroker who joins me virtually join me via phone rather from Lagos. Good morning, Mr. Charles.
Good morning, Yusuf. Thank you for having me on your show.
Good to have you on the show again today. We discovered that the Nigerian market seems to be enjoying so much patronage from investors. The rest of Africa is in red. Nigeria has remained in green. What is the secret?
Yes, it goes to show that the Nigerian economy is supposed to be one of the best in Africa, and we've even seen it. It has been demonstrated, with likes of Dangote Group in Nigeria serving the whole of West Africa and the world. You should expect the Nigerian market to be in the green.
Hello, Mr. Charles, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. The Nigerian market is green because all the parameters, all the conditions there, it shows that the companies that are operating in Nigeria, the Nigerian corporate sector, they are doing everything they can to ensure they post positive results. And from that, their work, we are seeing all the numbers coming to the market. And of course, when these numbers are positive, what do you expect? The market will react. And that's why we are seeing the market closing in the positive yesterday.
Tell us now, it's still early trade. It's just some few minutes after 11. We know the market opened around 9:30 or thereabout. So tell us, what are the numbers that you're seeing? How is the market doing right now?
Wow, it's interesting. Nigeria is really great. All the sectoralities are positive, except the consumer goods sector that is negative for now. Overall, the market is up by 0.4%, and the total number of deals that have been done now is just barely over 745 deals. And of course, for the volume that has been traded there is just slightly above 60 million units. But when it comes to the gainers, what I'm seeing here is quite interesting. We are seeing UPL already almost 10%. Chance is doing 9.38.
Hello, Mr. Charles. Hello, Mr. Charles. Are you still there? Oh, I think we've lost Mr. Charles there. We hope you can reconnect with us before we move on from this segment. Interesting development there that he's giving us live update there from the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Of course, a lot of development, like he said. The market is still in green. Over 700 deals has been done so far, just less than 2 hours into this trading. It shows that a whole lot of activities is actually happening there on the floor, and about 60 million volume of shares have been traded within the last 1 hour plus. Of course, that is an interesting development, and we hope that at the end of the day again, we will also have the market closing in green as it has been. We hope. We also think, I want to get that information from Mr. Charles before he went up there. Maybe the launch of Dangote Refinery yesterday, and of course the anticipation by investors for the refinery to be listed on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is also attracting investment there. And of course, that is a reflection of probably what we are seeing. Before we move on from this segment, we also take a very quick break. Then when we come back now, we'll go into our discussion. We'll look at the manufacturing sector, which is a very key sector when you're talking about industrialization. What has the government done so far to improve this sector? What is the incoming government? What are the agenda that should be set for them to develop this sector? And of course, move us away from the over-dependence in the crude oil revenue. We take a quick break. When we come back, we'll go into that discussion. Don't go away.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Glad to have you back. It's the Business Daily right here on Trust TV. Now we go into our discussion on economic diversification and, of course, industrialization as well, and the role of the mining sector, which is critical to economic diversification. Mining sector, solid minerals, they are key to economic diversification. And have joining me via Zoom from Port Harcourt, the president, Nigeria Institute of Welding, Dr. Solomon Iyabosa Edebiri. Good morning, doctor. I'm glad to have you on Trust TV this morning.
Good morning to you and good morning, viewers.
Economic diversification is very, very important. We've been talking about this for a very, very long time. And your sector, the sector you represent, play a very key role. To what extent do you think government has fared in that sector in the last 8 years?
Oh, thank you very much. I think we haven't done very well in terms of diversification of economy. Even though we have tried to move into the agriculture sector, try to see that that sector is revitalized and highly productive. But a lot of illicit parameters that lead to production has not been in place. And so it has been very difficult to get on that diversification properly. I give an instance. You can't do so much without power. And with the electric nature of power in Nigeria, you find it very difficult to enhance production. And again, when you talk of mobility, you can't do so much without either transportation. And a lot of things have gone. So infrastructure has been a major problem. If you look at it critically, until the Dangote refinery came on stream yesterday, you will discover that our refining process has been very poor, very porous, has been very bad, and it has not really yielded any positive result over the years. So we have ignored the potential of the mining sector. We have left it to the hands of the illegal miners. We have left it in the hands of the artisanal miners, and we have refused to focus on developing that sector to an appreciable level. You want to imagine the level, the high degree of bitumen we have in Nigeria over the western coast. Excuse me, over the western coast. You want to imagine that. It's enough for us to go on our road construction and as well as export to other countries, especially our neighboring countries. But we have ignored that place despite all the efforts that have been put in, that have been canvassed to say, look, we need to establish the bitumen sector properly. And so goes with other mineral sectors. So to answer your question, I think we haven't really fared well in terms of diversifying to other areas, especially the solid mineral areas, which drive the manufacturing sector very, very well.
Do you think it's the oil sector that is taking so much attention? Like you rightly mentioned, a new refinery was inaugurated yesterday in Nigeria, in Lagos to be precise. Do you think the oil sector, of course, is taking more attention than that? It seems that we are earning so much revenue from there that we don't really care about what happened to other sectors? Okay, it seems we are having some little network challenges. Okay.
On the contrary, I would think it's not. Let me give you an example. Hear me? I can hear you very well.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay, fine. Okay, I was saying that I do not agree with you because the same way you have the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources, the same way you have the Ministry of Solid Minerals. So basically, the ministry should exploit all the options, all the opportunities available, all the technicalities we need to exploit to make that ministry, that sector very viable. The petroleum resource, yes, we earn a lot of money from petroleum processing, from petroleum extraction, and all that, but we can also earn as much or even more from the solid minerals if the ministry wakes up. I think that's been our major focus, the will of government, the political will to chase that, the ability to decide or to discover the depth of income we can make from that place and how the impact it can create for our economy. I think that's been our major problem. I do not think petroleum has been the destructive element. No, the destructive element should certainly have been our will. And secondly, people involved in government that are making so much money from illegal mining are causing a lot of crisis country, causing a lot of fighting and killings in the regions where these deposits are very high. You find that, and you can't exonerate people in high places from those catastrophes and problems.
Interesting there. Well, I agree with you to an extent, but in terms of funding, do you think the mining sector is getting enough funding just like the petroleum counterpart?
Well, you can also discover that there are a lot of private investment into the petroleum sector. For instance, there is the JV arrangement for petroleum sector. There is the PSC arrangement for the petroleum sector. So all these arrangements can also be involved in the mining sector. It's just the exploitative ability of the opportunities available in this sector that matter. So if you look at it critically, I mean, the Dangote refinery that came on stream was funded through direct And I'm sure you are aware that just about lucky. So it's a function of the price, and then working with them to see that in the mining sector, open the mining sector up, get and set up different kinds of agencies and get it rejuvenated and let it run. Either the people come with their direct investment, make it easy for them to bring in equipment, make it easy for them to take away whatever they are mining, make sure they pay their taxes and all that, and export them to recover their investment. All that can be put in place. Government need to wake up and look at all these things with a very clean spec and say this is what we need to do, and I think that can work.
In your opinion, do you think it's a leadership problem? Are we having a square peg in a round hole?
I think we're having a square peg in a round hole. Or more to say, that would not even go in at all. I would rather say we're having a round peg in a square hole. And that's why we're having a shaky system. When you put a round peg in a square hole, as it steps in, you're going to have it wobbly. And that's what we're having in the mining sector. We're having a wobbly system. We're having a shaky system. It's not working. And it's either the people don't have the will to change this and get it right, or they are just not willing at all. They are just not interested. These are the two issues that come to mind. Otherwise, if you look across the 36 plus federal capital, 36 states plus FCT of this country, everyone has deposits of solid mineral. So why don't we say, let us choose 2 minerals in every stage and develop those minerals, not making sure that there are no 2 minerals that are choosing in more than 5 or 6 states together. So we can set up this system, and at the end of the day, we are producing, developing these minerals. Why don't we change this artisanal mining system? Bring them into the formal sector, support them with some mini equipment that they can use in doing the mining, help them with processing facilities, and then take them off the stealing angle and bring them into the formal system. Why don't we look at that? If you look at the oil sector, the petroleum sector, you will see what the artisanal refineries have cost Nigeria. It has cost debt, it has cost pollution, it has cost environmental degradation, it has cost so much. And that is the same thing happening in the mining sector. If you look at the effect of the artisanal miners, how many people are dying every day, how many people are collapsing, the effect of environmental degradation, you will agree with me that government needs to focus on that area. That's an area that can open up the small and medium scale enterprise, because if you support them with equipment, they can mine very little and sell to big buyers. I mean, they have off-takers. So if I mine maybe 500 kilograms, 200 kilograms, 1 kilogram of whatever, I can sell to an off-taker who is aggregating this thing for export. Government can set up this value chain effect so that at the end of the day, this artisanal miner becomes useful. They create a landscape of opportunities for themselves, and then their families benefit from it. Their families can grow. So these are the options government should have been looking at, as well as encouraging foreign investors. Yes, please.
Do you think that these artisanal miners that you spoke about, do you think they are being used by some unseen hands?
Of course, I would not disagree. That's not too far from the truth. But however, if we have the government that has the will, those unseen hands can either be chopped off or they are identified and brought to book. So basically, and then you isolate the artisanal miners from these unseen hands, equip them on their own, set them up, give them some entrepreneurial training, and let them know how best they can go on their own to produce, to mine these items, mine these minerals, and then transport and transfer it to an off-taker and sell. And at the end of the day, they can even go into production, minor production. So it takes the problem of government. And if government can focus on this area, you'll find out that we will be able to make, if not 50% of what we are getting from oil right now, we will make over 20 to 30% of it. And combining this with agriculture and focusing on the entire value chain of agriculture, entire value chain of solid minerals, I can assure you, this the income we will be making from them will be competing with oil. We'll
Interesting.
Dr.
Debiri.
Hydrocarbon extraction. Yes.
Dr. Debiri, before I let you go, in 6 days from now, the new government will come in. What do you think should be their priority with regard to manufacturing sector?
Well, for the manufacturing sector, it needs to get government full attention. Full attention. We need to talk about power, which I think they are committed to addressing. We need to talk about skills acquisition. That is the bedrock of manufacturing. And I can tell you, if we take an example from the Asian tigers, especially the Chinese, if you look at it, you'll find out that the SME, the small-scale enterprise, middle scale, account for over 90% of the industry. Government need to focus on this area. The mega companies they do not account for over 5% of the economy. So we need to focus on that area so that we have these SMEs as feeder machines to the mega companies. That's one area government need to focus on. Infrastructure is very important. And for instance, we have to boost the manufacturing sector. We need to solve this endemic problem for Jakarta Steel Plant. We need to solve that problem. You can't survive so much without steel in manufacturing. You can't survive without power. You can't survive without skill. So look at these three elements: steel, power, skill, the SPS. This needs to work. You have to have the government focus on these three segments. If we can have these three areas right, our manufacturing sector will grow. And then the government will make a great success of the industry.
All right, Dr. Solomon Edebiri, President, Nigeria Institute of Welding, joining us from Port Harcourt, all the way from Port Harcourt, Southside Nigeria. I must thank you for your contribution on Business Daily today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
All right, and with that, it's a wrap on Business Daily this morning. Join us tomorrow again for more. I am Yusuf Akogu.